All right, guys. So I am working on something. So I've looked online quite a bit, try to find some kind of resource that um, people have done modified Jeep Renegade taillights or something in the past, and there's nothing there. So I've looked through the forums, I've looked through the groups, I can't find anything. And I would really like to modify my taillights. Preferably, I like to have sequential taillights. I'd like to have a brake light that kind of fades in sequentially as well, and of course LEDs. Super important. So after looking at everything online, seeing what I could find about the Renegade taillights, I thought the best bet would be to just figure it out. So I went on eBay and I found a Jeep Renegade taillight for $30, which is really cheap. If you've looked at them online before, you'll know that that's a really good deal. Without further ado, I have the taillight right here. It's actually a really nice one. I hated to destroy it, but I had to for science. So that being said, it was in mint condition, and I needed to know how to open it. So one thing that I did discover, that unlike headlights from probably 2009 before, you could bake those in an oven and open them. Taillights historically have always been friction welded, or I guess some people call it supersonic welded, just where a fast vibration is sent through the plastic, and the plastic, when it makes contact with itself, welds together, and then it's permanently fused. Now that's great for longevity and things like that, but for opening it, it doesn't help. And the Jeep engineers did a really interesting thing. So first things first, on the side here, you'll have this little flange. This comes off as 3 bolts. You do have to have a special bit to get them off. But I bought my kit at Harbor Freight and it had the right bit in it, so you should be able to get it off pretty easy. But this comes off. I set that to the side, and I'm going to try to show you this. I'm not sure how well my camera's going to zoom in on it, but if you ever take your tail light off, you'll see around the edges here that the plastic on the front of it actually lips over. This covers the weld that I was talking about. And subsequently, you can't get to it to actually cut the weld or anything like that. And so I had to get creative. And so the main goal is to open the taillight in order to get the reflector out so that I could use the space to replace it with LEDs, build a custom board that will have sequential function. Behind that board would need to go the equipment, the power, and the electronics that control that sequential movement. And so I was looking to see how much room I could have in the taillight, whether it was feasible to open the taillight, and if I could reseal the taillight. So I haven't resealed this taillight yet. I don't think it's going to be a problem. It will need to be plastic welded. You can buy, it's like a soldering iron with a spade on the front of it. It comes with strips of plastic, and you just literally melt it back together with new plastic. I think that'd be a pretty permanent fix. I'll make a video when I do that, and we'll talk about whether or not it's going to be functional. But basically, I wanted to be the guinea pig and try to figure out if this was possible and kind of give some instructions on how to do it. So that being said, the first thing you want to do if you're going to open a Jeep Renegade taillight is, of course, take this part off here. This is the socket adapter, so it's the part that actually holds the bulbs. So it's got, I think it's 4 screws in it. Those are Phillips head screws because you need to be able to get it off to change the bulbs. You'll notice something interesting too on this is on this adapter here, in the corner are 2 prongs. Now this controls the side light function of the taillight. And so any modifications that I do to the taillight will likely still incorporate this piece. If I have to cut this part off or anything like that and use these connectors to weld or to solder to, I probably will. But I really want to use this factory connection in order to run the taillight, just so it's plug and play. And that way, we could build a taillight, close it up, and mail it to someone, and they'll just be able to plug it into their Jeep and run. So there's that. That presents the back of this here. So on the back of the taillight, there are one's here. It's pretty visible. That's a screw, and then on the other portion here inside this hole, there's another screw in there. That actually holds the reflector to the back housing. You don't have to take them out when you cut the back off, but you will need to take them off to get the reflector out. I found the reflector came out with the back housing, and there's also 2 plastic clips here that hold the reflector in, and that would help maintain the reflector into the housing as well. So with the cut, so what I did was start at the top because it's got the flattest portion here, and so essentially a Dremel tool with a cut wheel, trying to hold the taillight here without it falling. So I just went along the edge there as close as I could get to that front housing without actually damaging the front housing. Then I go around the outside edge all the way around. And so I was careful with these, right? So this is a mount point. This is for that flange to go back on. That goes underneath your hatch door. So that's for this piece here. And so you want to keep it, you want to keep this mount point intact. I did lose one here, but that was not intentional. I broke it when I was prying. So if you cut through the bottom, there is still material that holds it on. So if you cut below it along the edge, this will still stay on. It's still usable. With the weld, it should be fine. Now, we got here in the corner, and because of this large protrusion here, which is another mount point, you can't go up and over. It's too much material to cut through right there, and it would weaken this strut too much. So I went behind it, up and over. And then I kept cutting along the light assembly. Woo, this is hard. So I kept cutting along the light assembly. I'm trying to think of, oh, there it goes. And then back around, all the way around the outside edge, back to where I'm at. Now, once that happened, and I could see all the way clearly through it, I was like, okay, so it should separate now. But I was wrong. So I'm going to open it here, and I'll show you why that's the case. So there is actually on the top here next to the reflector, where this joins here, there is a strut that runs right through here, and then there is where the side light is. There's a tab that goes down into the reflector inside, and so you'll need to, when opening, if you decide to do this, some people aren't going to do this. This is the bottom, so you'll want to pull from the bottom out, and so I pull from the bottom, and then I want to undo it, and so I'll show you this. This is the actual lens. So on here, you can see right there, that is a tab. That tab goes into the reflector and holds this part to the reflector even after you cut it. So that's why you want to pull from the bottom and then unhook it. So that's pretty cool. And the cut does open the taillight without damaging this stuff here. This was already broken from my brother trying to open it. He was prying on it, and I gave him permission because the point was to destroy the light anyway. So once you get that open, then you have this. This is the reflector inside. And something I didn't realize is the side light here is LED. I didn't even know. But it is an LED bulb. And so once you take those screws out for the reflector on the backside that we were talking about earlier, you should be able to just pull this out Of course, it's not going to behave on camera. Why would it do that? It's hard to do. Wow, I locked it in there pretty good, I guess. Oh, the tabs. So those plastic tabs are working pretty well. Let me get something to pry them. I forgot about the tabs. There we go, and it should free it up. Cool. Plastic tabs. Remember those on the back. Anyhow, so this is the reflector. It comes out in a solid piece. It's actually pretty cool looking. I hate to get rid of it, but there's that. Let's set that to the side. And this is the back side of the housing. So you'll see with the reflector out and the lens, there is a tremendous amount of space inside there for electronics and things. And so you should be able to fit just about any kind of kit you want inside there to make the lights work. Now, I do want to show a very important part that will make cutting it open easier. So on this specific tail light, I assume all Jeep Renegade tail lights are going to be the same here. There's some reinforcement here, and there's some reinforcement down here on the bottom, right? And so it's where joints are, so like the shape of the taillight changes, and so they fed in some material that goes all the way to the front of the frame. And so when you cut around the outside edges, and this is the whole point of me doing this, because I need to learn what to do, what needs to do, so I don't damage taillights. So again, the top portion here, this has reinforcement in it. So what you'll need to do is once you cut around the edge like I did there, then you will need to use a round bit and actually go back towards the front of it along the line. And I'll take pictures and post as well, but along the line all the way back, because we open it up, you'll see this is the portion that sticks back in there. So I cut here along this line, and then this portion here is actually broken because I pried on it to get it open. But had I ran that Dremel back all the way along the top of that, it would have separated no problem. Same thing applies down here on the bottom. It is much shorter though. This portion here, once you cut across, just go back a little bit and make sure to knock that out as well. Here's a close-up of the LED on the side. See if you can see that. So that is the side marker light. So anyhow, I'm not sure if anybody's going to watch this or if anybody's interested, but there you go. That's the project I'm working on. And yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to keep fiddling with it. Now that I have it open, I can try to design a PCB in order to have LEDs inside of it. So it'll be, you know, like I said, sequential. And so my goal is to have along the inside here, I want it to be a solid board across the back, but the middle will retain this X in white. And so it'll have white reverse lights. And then all around the outside edges, leading up to that X, it will have red LEDs. And those red LEDs will be sequential. So the goal is, if it's on the left side of the vehicle, that it will go the direction out for turning left. Same thing for the right side. So it'll fill essentially this direction, which I think would be pretty cool. I also was thinking about the brake lights. So from the outside in, so when you press the brake, it starts from the corner here and fills in towards the X, but on all corners at the same time. So it goes all towards the middle. I thought that would be pretty neat as well. So let me know if you have any interest in this. I plan on trying to develop this process, the kit, and if it's successful and they look decent, I'd be willing to do them for people. And if not, maybe sell kits or have detailed instructions on how you could do it for yourself. Anyhow, I know that was a long video, and it probably wasn't as interesting as I thought it would be, but there you go. I don't know if anybody else has cut one of these open yet, so thanks for your time.